Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ space, and I must admit, I don't really feel like making this video. And that is something that I recognize and say, okay, well that's me reflecting on the sector being boring and the same thing that I say over and over again. And that is definitely something that is a factor in terms of when I start to lose interest. I definitely don't look away, but I make note and say, all right, well, if I'm starting to lose interest, I know the overall market's starting to lose interest, and that's when I have to catch myself to ensure that I keep paying attention, because when you finally lose interest is usually when things start to shift. So we'll keep looking for daily higher lows and higher highs on Canadian MJ names. The vast majority of the names that we're going to look at in this video, as we've been looking at in the past, have not seen a daily higher low and higher high in about 3 months. That's a very low, prolonged downtrend, and there's no fake outs in that regard. So looking at CGC, the bulls have to hold a low of 33.38 and break resistance of 36.78 to change the daily trend. Again, there has not been a daily higher low or higher high since back on this April run. So we have to change the daily trend. The hourly trend has to change for our daily higher low to be established. So if the bulls can hold 34.41 and break 35.25 tomorrow, we'll say that our daily higher low is established, and we'll see if the bulls can break 36.74 heading into the end of the week. Looking at Cron, it's a bit of the same story. We did get a little bit of a fake out yesterday. The big upper wicks, the rejection from daily exponential resistance. Pretty much at this point, I have to see a break of 15.85 to be looking for a shift in momentum. We're looking for the Cron bulls to try and establish a weekly higher low, but unless we can get followed through into the upper $15 range, we're not going to be confident that weekly higher low has been set. ACB dumped down and broke support, hitting the lowest price that we've seen in about 6 months. Did get an oversold bounce into the end of the day, but looking at the hourly chart, we have to see a trend change. We have to pull back and hold 644, break the high of the bounce of 681. When we change the hourly trend, we'll zoom out on the daily and say anything under 746 is just a lower high. So the bulls have had some bounce plays to get some gains, but as far as trend changes, again, ACB, same as everybody else, we have not seen a daily higher low and higher high since March. APHA, heading back down towards support. $6 is a must-hold level. From there, the bulls would have to see a break of 668 to change the daily trend. And if we don't do that, we're still in a downtrend, and the bears still have complete control. So we know to not get excited on these bounces. All last week, we kept reminding ourselves these are just looking for daily lower highs, and here we are giving back almost the entirety of this bounce. And in some names like ACB with the downgrade from Bank of America, they are dropping to lower lows. TLRY, close at the low of the day. No indication that the daily higher low has been set. We're about to break the low of consolidation if 42.03 breaks. Anything under 45.48 is just a lower high, and we have no daily trend change in sight yet. We're looking for that daily trend change to give us a weekly higher low, as we've now been consolidating on our 5th week. But if we don't change the daily trend, weekly higher lows are not going to form. CTST, 320 is still the most important resistance level as far as support goes. For me, 268 and 243 are the most important supports. And we're coming down to test support here in the short term. After hours, we drop down, and it's pretty much just 268 and then, or actually 267 and then 243. OGI, equilibrium, definitely looking for this equilibrium to form. High, low, lower high, scouting a higher low. What do we need for a daily higher low to be set? An hourly trend change. Have we changed the hourly trend? No. We have a bounce underway. We'll see if this after hours action carries over into pre-market tomorrow, but we have to hold 609 and break the hourly downtrend and change that trend for the daily higher low to be established. Hexo, dropping down as the daily exponential resistance continues to grind it down. Almost oversold on the daily chart. Weekly time frame has us looking for the next support after 466. We're looking down at 454. Bears in complete control And some people have posted and commented on how they're saying this reminds me of the cryptocurrency space when we were down at the lows before the big turnaround. And that is absolutely what's going on in the sense of the psychology of the sector right now and the inevitable shift that will happen. But that shift could be next week or it could be in 2 months. So we have to be patient and just be watching for that shift. But like I said, we're not getting faked out. We're not seeing daily trend changes with no follow through into dumps. We're just seeing short-term oversold bounces, cool off RSI, and then dropping to lower lows. Anything under 515 is now a daily lower high and our new line in the sand that the bulls are going to have to break. When's the last time Hexo saw a daily higher low and higher high? Just like everybody, that was back in April, 3 months ago. VFF, notable strength after the initial bounce had notable weakness. We've now got notable strength the last couple days, and we just got an upgrade after hours. That tells you why. So we'll see if the bulls can keep the hourly uptrend. 1379 is short-term support. Key resistance, anything under 1510 is just a lower high on the daily. And if we see a bull move and the inability to break 1510, we'll be watching for the possibility of an inverse head and shoulders. If we can change the trend, knowing that this is a solid bounce, the bulls have created an ample amount of space for a higher low to form, but we don't have a daily trend change yet. T-God dropping down to support. 306 is going to be tested. The bulls would have to hold 306 and break 330 in order to change the daily trend. We're 5 cents from a bear break. We're 19 cents from a bull break. The bears have favor, and if 306 breaks, we're looking down at 3 psychological. VGW still choppy. Again, I still don't like how choppy this is in the short term. I'm looking at 395 and 385 as 2 key supports, and key resistance is 425 and 469. But other than that, I don't like the clarity. Look at the back and forth. Red, green, red, green, red, green, red. There's no consistency, and you can't really utilize technical analysis for trading when you have that much choppy action. So keeping an eye on it and keeping an eye on the extraction space, but waiting for clarity. IIPR with a dump. Some people speculating. Of course, we had dilution news, but didn't see much of a dump from that dilution. We actually bounced a couple days after it. But a lot of people are thinking that the hearing that is upcoming for the states and the SAFE Act in the U.S. is potentially having a bearish impact. And that makes sense to me because, in my opinion, if either of those passed, it would open up access to capital for MJ companies. And right now, the business model for IIPR can thrive in an environment that is hard for companies to get funds. And they essentially are acting as funding for these companies by buying property, giving the cash influx, and then renting the property back to the companies. So we'll see how that hearing goes. Essentially, we have that hearing, then it's going to be voted on by the House, then it's going to be voted on by the Senate. If it passes the House, then the president has to sign it. The president has already said that he would sign something similar. The House, I believe, will pass it. The hurdle is the Senate, in my opinion. And as far as timeline goes, we don't know. So it's going to be a slow, drawn-out road. And right now, that slow, drawn-out road favors the bears because we're in prolonged downtrends. So for IIPR, we're looking down at oversold conditions. The 4-hour oversold bounce started to play out into the end of the day. Hourly chart tomorrow morning, if we can hold 110 and break 116.48, we'll have a little hourly trend change. If we break 110, we're going to be back to pretty extreme RSI levels, and we're looking at the weekly exponential support for a weekly higher low to form. Not likely to lose the weekly uptrend at this point, so keep an eye out for the potential of a bullish entry incoming for IIPR to find that weekly higher low. ZYNE highlighted over the weekend as a top watch because we were coming up in oversold conditions right to weekly support, and anticipating a weekly equilibrium was the more likely scenario. So we ended up bouncing significantly. That low on Friday was 1060. We made it up to 1248 today. That's about an 18% move or so. Did we change the hourly trend? Not yet. Significant bull move, healthy hourly consolidation. Tomorrow the bulls need to hold 1191 and break 1248 to confirm the hourly trend change. From there we zoom out to the daily. The last daily lower high is 1570, so we are certainly still anticipating a daily lower high would form. Best case scenario would be for the bulls to change the daily trend by topping out, form a higher low, form a higher high, and then we would zoom back out to the weekly and look for this weekly equilibrium to continue to tighten into August if we can get some more bounce follow through. C-Web, slow fade still on. We're looking for a weekly higher low. We have an example of what we don't want to see happen as bulls, and that's MedMen. You do not want to see this kind of weekly fade where you see a significant bounce of 45% and then just give it all back on slightly increasing bear volume and right back to test all-time lows. So looking at C-Web, we have healthy consolidation at this point, but the bulls want to form this weekly higher low sooner rather than later, because if we continue to pull back and this slow grind down, every lower low that we hit on this consolidation makes it less likely that we see a weekly trend change. So bulls really want to shift momentum. We need an hourly trend change, we need a daily trend change, and neither of those appear to be shaping up in the short term. Support is going to be down at 1971 and 1930, and we have a new little lower high on the daily at 2151. Cura got a bit of an upgrade this morning, so held on for the bulls, inside bar bull break. I'm looking at the 4-hour time frame. If the bulls are unable to break 1103 tomorrow, we're going to look to pull back and see if they can hold $10. We are still in an hourly uptrend since the news came out. That's going to be key for the bulls to maintain as well. Right now, most important support for me is 1009, and if the bulls start the morning with a little bit of green, our new hourly higher low will be 1041. Resistance is 1070 and 1103. When we lose the hourly uptrend, we zoom out to the daily and we look for a daily higher low to form. Again, remain skeptical of bulls. We must see a daily higher low and higher high to prove a shift in momentum, to prove prolonged, consistent buying pressure and a trend change, which again, even with this news, we have not seen a trend change for the bulls since all-time highs. So MedMen, weak, oversold bounce play, bottom fishing off of the all-time low of 251. Have we changed the hourly trend? Nope, just a little end of the day bull move. If we can change the hourly trend and hold 251, we're going to look for a daily lower high compared to 308. But there is a potential bottom fishing play there. 251 is a must hold. IAN bears in control, rejecting from exponential resistance. 352 is the only support, then 350 psychological, then 343 is the next level after that. Anything under 395 is just a daily lower high, keeping the bears in full control. CL, bears in full control, dropping down to lower highs and lower lows each day. When's the last time we've seen a green day? A long time ago. Daily RSI is now oversold. Weekly support after 1084, looking down at 1072 as the next level. And looking at the 4-hour time frame, exponential resistance rejecting the price at this point the entire month of July. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rejections. When you see something this clear, nothing else matters to me. I can clearly say to myself, if we don't get over the 4-hour, 12-period exponential resistance, bulls don't prove anything to me. Change that, and it will be notable. So that's easy to keep it nice and simple. When you see a clear level rejecting the price consistently or holding the price as support consistently, that is your number one priority in terms of needing to see a change in that moving average in this instance, or price level. It could be a specific concrete price level, but have to see a change in that in order to see any kind of shift. And last, TRUL, dropping the lower lows, breaking under 1280. Our new daily lower high is 1462. And the next support level after 1247, we're looking down at 1215. There's other USMJ names that I'm not going to cover because most of them are the same story. It'll be notable for us when we have names that break the correlation, like C-Web, like MedMen did, like Curaleaf is doing on the news. But other than that, it's the same old story. Will we get a spark from this hearing? I don't think so. If we see a pass in one of these important bills in the House, I think that can spark a little bit of life. But we're patiently waiting for daily trend changes. Any bounce, any kind of bullish action in this sector, ask yourself the first question, is this a daily trend change? And if the answer is no, you know to remain skeptical of the bulls. I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great night. We'll continue to check back in and hope for some kind of change or excitement or give me something else to talk about. We'll see you soon. Raised bed update. Put another 3 in over the weekend. We got the mulch paths going. These guys are all full of their manure and rotting wood and ashes and charcoal. And now just have to add stuff to these ones. Already added some charcoal, need some rotting wood. So then after this row, we'll start another row, and we'll probably start going perpendicular to avoid the shade of that big tree. Got a swing that we're gonna put up made out of cedar, and put that there and trellis some stuff up of the side of the swing. And then we'll put more raised beds there. That's the update.